After Raon's attack failed to defeat the Green Battle Phantom in a single strike, the Phantom remarked that Raon was strong enough to cut off his arm. He even admitted that Raon had considerable potential for a Z-card. But to the enemy, Raon's ability went no further than that. From his current condition, it was clear he had exhausted all his stamina on that one strike. Hearing those words, Raon realized it was true. He had forced himself to try ending the battle with that attack, and now he could hardly move properly. Raon then asked if he was the one leading the monsters in the attack. The Green Battle Phantom scoffed, saying his superior would never reveal himself in a small village like Cebu. With that, the Phantom lunged forward again. Raon hadn't fully recovered and wasn't ready to fight yet, but in his mind, the same also applied to his opponent. When the Phantom's attack came, Raon managed to block it. That shocked the Phantom, who hadn't expected Raon to be this capable. Raon then declared, "If I can't block something like that, I'd better stop being a swordsman altogether." The clash between them grew fierce, each striking and countering blow for blow. Watching the fight, Burn was stunned. The Green Battle Phantom had defeated him and the others in a single strike, yet Raon was fighting on equal footing, and he was even using the same sword technique Burn used. Burn realized that while he once thought he could catch up to Raon, the truth was Raon was already far beyond the other trainees. Martha then spoke up, telling Burn that this was Raon's true strength. What he had shown before was only a fraction of his power, but from Martha's perspective, Raon's current strength still wasn't enough to defeat the Green Battle Phantom, since they appeared evenly matched. Meanwhile, Raon hadn't had enough time to recover his strength and aura after his earlier desperate strike. Seeing this, Martha began to doubt whether Raon could really win with only the little energy he had left. At that moment, Runan arrived and insisted that they had to help Raon. Martha argued back that they were weaker, and if they attacked recklessly, they would be killed in a single blow. Even Martha, who was stronger than Runan, held herself back, but Runan calmly replied that it didn't matter. At first, Martha had thought Runan was simply afraid, but now, Runan seemed calmer than ever, a sign she had changed from the girl who used to only hide behind Raon. Burn, feeling ashamed of his earlier hesitation, agreed with Runan that they needed to help. Martha objected again, saying even if all three of them joined in, nothing would change, since the Phantom had defeated them with a single strike before. But Burn stood firm, saying that even so, he couldn't just turn away and leave Raon to fight alone. They were Zigghardt swordsmen, and they couldn't simply stand back and watch. Finally, Martha gave up on stopping them, and decided to join in as well. But before moving to help, she warned Burn and Runan they would have to take full responsibility if anything went wrong, because this battle meant putting their very lives on the line. We returned to the battle between Raon and the Green Battle Phantom. The Phantom couldn't believe that a trainee like Raon was able to hold out against him for so long. He even admitted that Raon was exceptionally talented enough that he wanted to recruit him into Eden. The Phantom then asked Raon for his name. Raon calmly replied, "Raon Zigghardt." Hearing this, the Phantom pressed further, asking if Raon was a direct descendant of the Zigghardt family. From Raon's hair and eye color, he could feel that the blood of the head of the family flowed within him. Realizing this, the Phantom immediately took back his offer of recruitment. If he had known earlier, he would have killed Raon without hesitation. He then unleashed even greater power and charged at Raon once more. Raon was shocked. His enemy's attacks were faster than before. Thankfully, Raon managed to dodge in time. The Phantom was burning away his own life force to gain more strength. Meanwhile, Raon struggled to survive using the Ring of Fire, though his body hadn't fully recovered. At that moment, Martha appeared behind the Phantom, ready to strike. She wasn't alone. Runan and Burn also joined in, attacking the Phantom together. But their efforts had no effect. The Phantom easily caught Burn, proving that they were still far too weak. To even hurt him, they needed to at least be on Raon's level. Burn admitted the Phantom was right. They couldn't land a proper blow, but at the very least, they could buy Raon some time to recover. Martha then released her aura and launched another attack. Her strike managed to wound the Phantom slightly, but it wasn't enough. Soon after, both Martha and Burn were defeated once again. On the other side, Raon finally regained his strength and began unleashing his aura. He told the others that this time, he would make the most of his opportunity. Seeing the energy surrounding Raon, the Phantom grew uneasy, wondering just who Raon really was to still possess such immense power. Raon ignored his question and declared that Eden should feel honored because the technique he was about to use would be unleashed on an enemy for the very first time. At first, Raon had believed he couldn't perform it, but through this battle, he realized he could. The name of this technique was Wind of Bledging Dominion. The Phantom was shaken. Raon's fiery aura was different from before. His instincts screamed that this fire was dangerous, and that he needed to kill Raon no matter what. The Phantom lunged at Raon once more, but before he could land his strike, Raon cut him down with his technique. With that single slash, the Green Battle Phantom was finally defeated. Raon's companions looked on in shock, unable to believe that Raon had actually slain the Phantom. After that, Raon told the other trainees that there were still Eden's monsters left and ordered them to finish them off for the safety of the village. Hearing Raon's command, the trainees immediately moved out and wiped out every last one of them. Soon after, Burn approached Raon and admitted that Raon had been right. If not for Raon and the reinforcements, he and the others would have been defeated, and the entire village would have been slaughtered. He then thanked Raon for saving their lives and apologized for disobeying his orders. Even so, Burn explained that he would still have chosen to go to the village because he couldn't turn a blind eye to injustice. Even if he wasn't strong enough, that wasn't something worthy of a Z-card. Raon simply replied, "Good work." He told Burn that because they had all fought with everything they had, he had been able to find an opening to strike the Green Battle Phantom. Their victory wasn't his alone. It was thanks to everyone. If even one of them hadn't stepped up, who could say how things would have ended? That was why Raon wanted to thank them all. Hearing Raon's gratitude, Burn declared that next time, he would become even stronger, so something like this wouldn't happen again. He asked Raon to wait for him, because one day he would carry out his duty without needing Raon's help. Raon then turned to Martha, telling her that she had worked hard as well. By distracting the Green Battle Phantom at the critical moment, she had allowed Raon to recover. He genuinely appreciated how well she had followed his command. But Martha snapped back that she would rather bite off her tongue and die than follow Raon's orders. She said she would return to the village first to help with repairs and told Raon to take it easy for now and come back when he could. After everyone left, Raon finally began to feel the after effects of using too much power and was overwhelmed with fatigue. Just then, Runan appeared and caught him as he almost collapsed. She thought he was about to faint, but Raon assured her he was fine. Curious, he asked why she was still there. Runan answered that she had stayed because Raon looked just like he did after training in the practice yard, when all his strength seemed to leave his body. Hearing that, Raon felt a bit of relief. It wasn't just him protecting the others. Sometimes they protected him too. Then suddenly, a status window appeared, notifying Raon that he had grown stronger after surpassing his limits in battle. He had gained the trait Unseen Strike and the title Unbreaking Spirit for defeating an opponent stronger than himself. Since he needed to check his rewards, Raon told Runan he was fine now and ordered her to return to the village first, while he stayed behind to scout the area for any remaining threats. Afterward, Raon sat alone on a rock and opened his status window to examine his rewards. The title Unbreaking Spirit increased his stats by 3% whenever he faced a stronger enemy. The trait Unseen Strike belonged to assassins, allowing him to deal additional critical damage during surprise attacks, while concealing his presence as he struck. At that moment, the Wrath Spirit appeared, shocked at the rewards Raon had received. To him, it made no sense. Raon had only fought against a weakling, so why was he given such incredible rewards? Raon thanked the Wrath Spirit, saying it was thanks to him that he grew stronger every day. Hearing that, the spirit grew furious, vowing that Raon would never die peacefully, that he would rip Raon's body apart over and over until nothing was left. But Raon calmly replied, "If you can, then try. I'm ready to face it any time." His words only made the Wrath Spirit even angrier. Meanwhile, the trainees were busy working together to repair the damage in the village. At that time, Raon had just woken up. When he stepped out of the house, he saw that everyone had already finished the repairs while he was asleep. Suddenly, Runan approached him and asked if he was awake and if he was feeling better. Raon replied that he was indeed feeling much better after some rest. Hearing that, Runan immediately told him there was a place they needed to go, because everyone was waiting for him. It turned out that Runan was taking him to the villagers of Cebu. They had been waiting to personally thank Raon, the savior of their village. They also expressed their gratitude to the Zigharts, who had risked their lives to protect them. Without the Zigharts, the village of Cebu would surely have perished. From that day on, the villagers vowed never to forget what the Zigharts had done for them. Hearing their words, Raon felt something he had never experienced before, the respect and admiration of his comrades, as well as the gratitude and emotions of the people he had protected. In his previous life as an assassin, Raon had never once received kindness. His world had only been life and death. Everything he had was stolen by Darius. No matter how many people he killed or how many dirty missions he carried out for Darius, he was never recognized, because all recognition went only to Darius. But now, for the first time in his life, Raon was receiving acknowledgement from many people. And with that recognition came a new desire. He wanted more. He wanted to be admired by even more people. From this moment on, Raon decided that his life would be as a swordsman, not as an assassin. He wanted to create countless moments like this in the future and achieve even greater things. Afterward, Raon went to speak privately with the village chief. The chief asked what Raon wanted to know. Raon directly asked if he knew who was behind the orc attack on Cebu. The chief answered that, according to Burn, it was Eden, one of Oma's groups. But he admitted he had no idea why Eden would target their village, which was nothing more than a small, insignificant place. Raon then told the chief that, during the previous battle, Kanbar had mentioned the chief bringing a red gem down from the mountain peak. Shocked, the chief admitted it was true. When he was young, he had found the gem on the mountain and brought it back to the village. Only now did he realize, could all of this chaos have been caused by that gem? Raon confirmed it. Eden's entire purpose was to obtain that gem. The chief was shaken, never imagining that everything had happened because of his actions. Raon explained that, while they had managed to stop Eden this time, as long as the gem remained in the village, Eden would continue to come for it, and that was something they could not allow. The chief then revealed that after burying the gem, the soil around the village had become fertile, bringing prosperity to their people. The villagers had revered it as a guardian spirit, but in truth, it was a mana stone, something that would inevitably draw Eden's attention. The chief asked what they should do now. Should they dig it up and throw it away? Raon replied that he would take the gem with him. He explained that Eden viewed humans as nothing more than sacrifices to restore their power. Even if the chief tried to discard it, Eden would eventually find it. That was why Raon intended to take it back to Sieghart. But upon hearing that, the chief grew worried. If the Monostone was brought to Sieghart, wouldn't that mean Eden would target them instead? The chief couldn't bear the thought of burdening their saviors by dragging them into even more danger. Raon told him it was fine, because this was exactly how the Siegharts handled such matters. Hearing those words, the village chief thanked Raon once again, saying that Sieghart had given them help this time that was beyond measure. But Raon paused, curious about the chief's choice of words. This time as well. Did that mean Sieghart had helped the village before? The chief then explained that decades ago, the head of the Sieghart family, Glenn himself, had once saved Cebu village. He remembered it clearly. Glenn, much like Raon, had driven off a monster invasion, but instead of being cold and distant, he had smiled warmly and treated the villagers with great kindness. Hearing this, Raon couldn't imagine the head of the family being warm and gentle. From what he had seen, the family had seemed incapable of such behavior. The chief then dug into the ground and retrieved the red gem he had buried long ago. It had been wrapped in a cloth passed down through generations, which concealed the crimson glow that emanated from it. When Raon saw the gem, he realized that if it were to fall into Eden's hands, it could give birth to a monster with the power of the Goblin King. He immediately told the chief to wrap it back in the cloth, but then a voice suddenly cut in, saying he now understood why the gem had been so hard to find. It was because the cloth used to cover it concealed its aura. Raon froze in shock. How could someone get that close to him without him noticing? He hadn't sensed their presence at all. He demanded to know who the stranger was. The man pulled out a mask and asked Raon if he could guess his identity. The moment Raon saw the mask, he recognized it and asked if he was the Mad Blood Demon. Surprised, the Mad Blood Demon admitted he didn't expect a mere trainee to recognize his mask. He also remarked that Raon's power was immeasurable, which meant Raon had to be the one who defeated the Green Battle Phantom. Raon questioned why he was here, since the Phantom had said the Mad Blood Demon wouldn't show up. The man replied it was because the Phantom had died by Raon's hand. In other words, he had come specifically because of Raon. He then placed the mask on his face and unleashed a murderous aura so overwhelming that Raon's body went numb. Even if Raon used all of his strength, he wouldn't stand a chance. Even if every trainee in the village joined in, they still wouldn't be able to win. At that moment, the Wrath Spirit appeared, telling Raon there was no way he could defeat this enemy. He only had two choices, die fighting a hopeless battle, or surrender his body to the Wrath Spirit. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the village, Burin and the other trainees were busy building fences. Martha strolled up and mocked him, saying he looked more like a carpenter than a swordsman. Then Runan arrived, carrying fruit she wanted to give to Raon. Seeing this, Martha teased her, saying that if Renan kept acting so loyal to Raon, people would start mistaking them for a married couple. Runan ignored her completely and went off to find Raon, but suddenly a loud explosion shook the area, startling everyone. Runan instantly knew the blast had come from where Raon was and dashed off, dropping her fruit to the ground. Burin and Martha followed immediately, shouting for all the trainees to prepare for battle. When the three of them arrived near Raon's location, they called out his name, asking if he was all right. But there was no response, until another explosion erupted. They then saw Raon hurled through the air alongside the village chief, and Raon's condition looked dire. This video ends here, but the story isn't over yet. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next part.